All right, good morning. Thank you for joining us today for our information session for our Python program, fully titled Python for Data Science, Web and Core Programming. My name is Frances Lessman. I'm the program manager for the Python program. So you'll be hearing from me today, as well as from a few other speakers to share more about our program. Okay, so before we begin, I would love to read what brought you to the session today. So we have the chat enabled for this webinar at the bottom. So if you want to take a few minutes and just put in the chat, what brought you to the session today? How did you hear about it? And maybe a little bit about why you're interested in learning about Python. We're always interested to know more about why people want to be interested in this program, what they're maybe hoping to do with Python. Perhaps you're thinking of changing careers, moving into more of a data science space that might require some Python skills, or looking to further expand on some initial Python skills that you have. Whatever it is, we'd love to hear about it. So as people are putting their thoughts into the chat, I will share just a brief overview as to where we're going with this presentation today. So we'll start off, I'll go over some career trends as it relates to Python and give a overarching overview of the program as well in terms of what the learning outcomes are, what you can expect if you decide to become a student. And then we'll go into some more detail at each specific course level. So you can see like what you'll actually be learning in the courses that make up the program. And then we'll go over some important enrollment details that you'll definitely need to know. And then there'll definitely be some time at the end for Q&A. Now I'd love to introduce one of our other speakers today, Miriam Chavez.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. So my name is Miriam Chavez. I am your enrollment coach. So any questions that you might have about the program, the courses, the content, how it can relate to your goals and what you're looking for, definitely feel free to reach out to me. I'm here as a resource. I will be able to connect you with our student services team if there are specific questions for them, anything like that. So please feel free to reach out to me. I'd be your first point of contact. And I will also attach my contact information to the chat. Sorry. So yeah, feel free to reach out to me.
Awesome. Thanks, Miriam. I'm seeing some notes here in the Q&A box, and it looks like our chat is disabled, which is a really frustrating setting to have happen. I apologize for that. But the Q&A box is available there, so we can use that as a function for you to put in your questions as they come up through the program. Or through the presentation, excuse me, or if you have any thoughts about why you're interested in joining our program, you can use the Q&A box as well. Okie dokie. All right, so a little bit more about how Python fits into the job landscape here in Northern California. So one of our missions here at Continuing and Professional Education is to serve the Sacramento region with useful skills for people's work and to be supportive of learners in the area. A typical learner is someone who is out of school already, is possibly postgraduate and in the workplace already, although we have students from all different types of experience, education levels as well. And I would say a lot of our students are looking to either progress in their career or to potentially change fields as well. And we know that the data indicates that Python is an important capability for the region, and it's an important skill for someone working specifically in the tech or data space. And that's because Python is such a high utility language. This program will fully develop your Python capability. And that's something that's important because Python is one of the most called for skills nationally. Last year, there were over 200,000 jobs that specifically called for Python. And in the Sacramento area alone, there were over 8,000 jobs, making Python one of the top skill areas. And when we think about the Sacramento region, and looking at the job opportunities here, considering that every one job in Sacramento available, there'll probably be even more, 5 to 10 in the Bay Area. So Python really does have that, or brings that high utility space to job seekers in the workplace. And this slide shows data from MC, which is an application that pulls data from various job sites on the internet, and then specifically pulls out skills and job titles across industries. So this is honed down specifically to Python. And you can see that acquiring Python into your skill set will have a lot of value because of its high utility. So this list shows the different types of jobs that require Python as a skill. So we've got everything from software developers to different types of analysts, data scientists. There's a really broad range of skill or jobs that require Python as a skill, making it a really valuable skill to have. And this slide shows us a review, or excuse me, the results from a survey from Stack Overflow, which you may already be familiar with. If you're not, you certainly will be by the end of the program. And it's a community resource of sharing practices in software development. And every year they ran a survey, and this is reflective from the 2021 survey, excuse me, that had over 80,000 responses. And as you can see, 19% of developers currently working in the field listed Python as one of the top required skills. And you can see sort of where it ranks with some other quite popular skills in the list, but it is definitely one of the top languages that people are seeking to learn. And then furthermore, just to show some other data as it relates to Python's high demand, this is pulled from IEEE Spectrum, which is the world's largest professional organization devoted to engineering and applied science. And we can see that Python ranks #1 overall in terms of desirability, utility, actual application. It's the #1 in job openings, #1 in open source projects, #1 in just an overall trending excuse me, popularity, as well as related to web development. So really just sitting at the top of the list across various areas in these fields. So bringing all of this back to our Python program, which is a professional concentration, and some of the key learning objectives of our program that we were very intentional in creating this program is that you'll complete, if you decide to complete the full program, it's 5 courses, and it will give you a really solid in-depth learning of Python. And everything that we do, starting with the first course in the program up until the last, is really to develop your Python coding skills. And one of the strengths of Python is by virtue of being an open language, is that a number of pre-coded libraries have been developed for multiple purposes. And a lot of these libraries are in the data analysis space. And several of our Python classes in this program will go over these libraries and teach you how to use them and to improve your data analysis skills to do powerful things with the data, including big data. And we'll hear more about that very soon. You'll be learning Python as a core programming skill, and we'll also learn how to do raw coding in Python and to create applications. And the whole professional concentration gives you depth. And if you want to, you can also focus on key areas, make it specific maybe to the job that you're undertaking, or some sort of project that you're working on that you're really looking to leverage with a Python as a skill set. Okay, and now I would love to turn it back over to Miriam to talk more about our program.
Thank you. So as Francis mentioned, our Python program is a professional concentration. It is composed of 5 different courses. 4 of our courses are 7 weeks long, and then 1 of our courses is 5 weeks long, something to take into consideration. The structure that you can see there is beginning with our Introduction to Python Programming course, and then it then builds up on each of the courses, and it ends with data preparation, as Francis mentioned. We will explore a little bit more the data analysis piece with Python in those last courses. There is a total academic credit of 9.5 units for the complete professional concentration. And as Francis also mentioned, the courses can be taken individually as well. Some of these courses do have prerequisites, and then we'll also cover a little bit more about what those prerequisites are in a couple of slides.
Great, thanks, Miriam.
So the program is completely online. It's asynchronous. The weekly modules will roll out weekly. And then students, you will be able to move through these, through the coursework and the lectures at a time that would work for you, that's convenient for you. We typically recommend that you plan accordingly and you try to dedicate 6 to 8 hours a week of commitment, just as you're navigating and becoming familiar with the content. If it does take you a little bit less, then great. But we want you to plan accordingly. We want to set you up for success as you're planning to pursue and continue to take our program. The program is instructor-led, where our instructors will have office hours with individualized support and feedback for you, and be there to support you as you complete the program.
Awesome, and that tees us up very nicely to introduce one of our instructors in the program. Todd Rutherford is here this morning, and he teaches the data structures, data mining, and big data with Python class. Todd, would you love to, or I'd love it if you'd share a little bit about your professional background as it relates to Python, and maybe a little bit about why you like teaching Python.
Yeah, all right. Thank you, Francis. Yes, so what I do with Python in my day-to-day job is I do a lot of data engineering with Python. So that's like automation of data pipelines. I also do a lot of data wrangling with Python as you bring in new data sources from external data sources into our data warehouse. I also do a lot of the data modeling, where you're modeling data and you create data frames in Python to do an analysis. And then I'm able to actually deploy the models and now moved for machine learning operations. But for the most part, Python is great for automating. I automate a lot of my tasks as I do for security alerts for data, as in data warehousing, checking and making sure that data is not null, data is available. I'm able to do advanced statistics modeling as well for finance, and very, very, very much a lot across the board, cross-functional teams. I also work with creating data models for marketing as well. So as you go into this program, as you go through each program and concentration, you'll start to see how you're able to apply Python. And that's what I love about Python. Python can be applied to any use case scenario, especially now in business. If you can think of something that you want to automate that's computing wise, you can use Python. Like Python is one of those fun, expressional Python programming languages that allow you to do object-oriented programming. You can do scripting. You can do a game. There's gamification. Think about it. You name it, you can do Python.
Tale as old as time, starting talking when you're still muted. Thank you for that, Todd. You mentioned automation as part of how you use Python in the work that you do. And one of the questions we've already received so far is, will this course be helpful for automation? Could you maybe speak to that piece briefly?
Yes, so Python can definitely help you with automation. Python has they have over thousands of Python libraries that you can use to help automate. So you won't even have to worry about actually starting from the groundwork. You can actually use a template or a library to bring in the software development kits through PyStack or python.org. You can go on there and and search the many business use cases or just computing and programming use cases for to do automation. And automation is huge, of course, because as you automate, you can scale, right? So that's what's great about your tasks. You can do bots with a Python. So if you're constantly doing any type of user interface, like a CRM, like maybe like Salesforce or like just in Excel, you can use Python. You create a Python program for Excel to just, if you're doing pivot tables or on a daily basis, or you're in some type of any type of information system, right? You can, if you're doing daily tasks where you're doing 5 or 10 or 20 different navigation steps in the screen, you can automate that as a bot. You can automate that Python as a bot to give you some statistics as well and give you an output. So that's what's great about automation. Yeah, automation is great. You can do it on the back end too as well. You can do it through a terminal. You can do it anywhere you want to. You can do an IDE. The possibilities are unlimited. That's all I can say about Python for automation. It's unlimited.
That's awesome. And it's part of the reason why it's such a valuable language, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you, Todd. All right, so I will touch briefly on some of the course prerequisites that Miriam mentioned previously. So we don't need to get too bogged down or in the weeds of this. It's more to indicate that the program is been designed with a particular sequence in mind, and that's done intentionally to really build on your Python knowledge and build those skills. So the primary place to start with our Python program is with the Introduction to Python Programming class. That class does not have any prerequisites. It's where we recommend that nearly all students start. But another place, and we do have some students that come in and start here, is the Python for Data Analysis class, which also does not have any prerequisites, although we do have some recommendations based on your previous experience with Python. And then from there, prerequisites flow into our intermediate Python class, and then the more advanced classes in the program, which is the data preparation, modeling, and visualization class, and then Todd's class, the culminating class in the program, data structures, data mining, and big data with Python. Again, you don't need to keep all of these specific details in your mind. It's just more to show you how we've designed the course the program to flow from course to course. And now moving into each of the individual courses in the program, I'll go over each course in a little bit more depth. So our next run of the program, which is kicking off with the Introduction to Python Programming class, is starting at the end of October on October 31st, and that will run through until the end of November on the 20th, 7 weeks in length, as Miriam had previously mentioned. And this class is going to be taught by Al Pangilinan, one of our other fantastic instructors in the Python programming. And this course is designed to really help ease you into the world of programming. So you don't have to have a technical background to start this program. The intention is to essentially take you from more or less zero and then to ramp up your Python skills. A lot of students who have other programming languages under their belt, or they've maybe used Python in the past, also find starting with this class and moving on with the rest of the program to be beneficial in terms of sort of connecting with those skills, seeing what's happening with the latest iteration of Python and so forth. But it is important to know that this class is introductory and a really perfect place to start. So you're going to start by practicing writing simple scripts in Python. You'll learn how to use variable types, flow control functions, and data structures. And you'll learn more about using Jupyter Notebooks, an open source software for interactive computing. So after the Intro to Python class, the next class in the sequence is Python for Data Analysis, and that's kicking off early next year. And Elena C. Myrick is our instructor for that class. She is a data scientist working in the health field, and she has really strong intentions with this class to really help students come out of this class with some really tactile skills related to Python that they can then apply to data science applications. And so that it's introductory, but you're still walking away of like, oh, now I can do this with Python. And that's going to look like exposure to various Python libraries. You're going to be ingesting data, producing plots, and producing analysis and fit models as well. And it is of the 5 classes in the program, this is the shortest one. This class is only 5 weeks. It does move fairly quickly, but Elena really injects a lot of really good content into this class. And the 3rd class in the program is Intermediate Python, and that's following after Python for Data Analysis. And this course really builds on the foundations that you learned from the intro course and you learned from Elena's data science class, and takes those data science applications of programming to another step along in the process, which is really getting at more or introducing object-oriented programming. So you'll be introduced to using VS Code through everything through installation to basic usage, including how to do some debugging with those situations that come up. And you'll learn to run Python from the command line as well in this class, and introduce some IPython some IPython basics. And it will, as I mentioned before, have that object-oriented programming piece in this class as well. So the first 3 classes in the program, I like to think of as the more foundational or the most foundational classes in the program, and moving on to the 4th class in the program and then the 5th class, the culminating class. These are 2 of the more advanced classes. So data preparation, modeling, and visualization with Python. The intention of this course is to really provide a useful toolkit for professionals as it relates to some introductory machine learning concepts, as it relates to data science, data mining, or those web data fields. So you're going to learn this class is going to do is help you to be able to create business value for whatever project you're working on. So you're going to be effectively importing, preparing, and modeling, and of course, visualizing data using Python. So that's going to look like practice cleaning, and that visualization of data piece. You're going to learn how to fit predictive models using Python, as well as to assess efficient ways to explore data. And so that leads into the last class in the program, Todd's class, Data Structures, Data Mining, and Big Data with Python. Todd, do you want to share a little bit about what students will experience in your class?
Yes. So what you'll experience, excuse me. So what you'll experience in this course is the culmination of what you've learned in the first 4 courses. And what this will do will tie into that multidisciplinary skill set of writing Python applications, not only advanced features of writing efficient programs, but you're going to be able to see how you move data structures throughout big data frameworks like Hadoop, Spark, and AWS Lambda. You're going to be utilizing a lot of the AWS cloud computing serverless frameworks and services as well. You will gain not just data engineering skill set, you'll also gain software development skill set as well. You'll be able to see how you can do machine learning operations near the end of the course using Spark ML. Let's see, there's Docker. You'll also have an opportunity to work with containerization with Docker and be able to see how you can develop an application, scale that application, and move it from not just a single node, but clusters. You'll work with a cluster of computing. It's really the culmination of what the core skill sets are in the market currently right now. I mean, it's very complex, but it's very fun because when you leave out the data structures, data mining, and big data with Python, you'll feel like you can do anything, right? And with Python, because you'll know how to, one, from the first 4 classes, be able to model data. You'll be able to write scripts for data, and 4, you'll be able to visualize the data. But not only that, you'll be able to package your data in Python packages and be able to distribute them with big data frameworks and data platforms like Hadoop, Spark. And that's the core of what a lot of the big tech is looking for, but also healthcare, cybersecurity, infrastructure services, mobile computing as well. Need backend engineers. So I heavily recommend this course, definitely. You can also take it as a standalone, but this is the course that will really tie into all the Python skill sets. You'll really start to see how you're able to utilize Python in many different ways, end to end.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Todd. Okay. Moving on, I'll kick it back over to Miriam to talk more about some enrollment pieces.
Thank you, Frances. So as you can see, this is a little bit more of a visual breakdown or overview of the cost of each of the courses. As we've mentioned, you are able to enroll in specific courses if that's something that you wish to do. So our 7-week long courses are $740, and then our 5-week long course is $560. So that's a total of $3,520 for all of our courses together. When taken individually, we have a fast track option that can save you 15% by enrolling in this opportunity. Thank you, Frances. And so as you can see on here, this is a visual of our fall 2022 fast track. So essentially what our fast track option does is you will get that 15% discount by enrolling in this opportunity, but aside from the price reduction or cost, in this, you will automatically be enrolled in all 5 courses by doing this, and then you will be able to take the courses in the sequence that we recommend. So you would start with the introduction to Python and with the data structures course. And so as you can see there, that is the start date of October 31st and an end date of July 16th, 2023.
Thanks, Miriam. And I'll just piggyback on that. I see one of the questions in the chat is about how long it takes to complete the entire program. And from start to finish, it's about 9 months at the quickest pace that you can move through the program. And by enrolling in the fast track, that's the best way to guarantee that you're making it through the program in the shortest amount of time, if that's a priority to you. You don't have to adhere to that particular time frame if you have a lot of other commitments in your life. If work is very demanding, we do run these courses multiple times per year. So you could start with one course and take a break and come back and continue with the next course in the series. And that's just something to be in conversation with me about. I'm happy to help guide you through that if that's an option for you. There is, if you are intending to complete the whole program, there is a time limit from start to finish. It's about 5 years. So if you start Intro to Python, you have about 5 years to complete the rest of the program. But I will say most of our Python students move through the class in about 9 months. All right. And so I also wanted to share here on the next slide A cool feature about our program is that it also offers digital badging. So each of the classes in our program have a digital badge attached to them. So when you successfully complete the class, you'll earn a unique digital badge that is reflective of the skills and knowledge that you acquired in that class. And these digital badges can be shared on social media, on your LinkedIn profile, with your employer, on your email signature, as just sort of a public recognition of like, hey, I'm learning these really cool and useful skills in Python. And you'll see this badge that we're looking at here is the badge that you'll earn, the culminating badge that you'll earn for completing the entire program. So just another cool feature about our Python program are the digital badges. And now I would love to introduce Suzette Odom, our student finance officer, to talk more about some other funding pieces.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Francis. So I am available. I can assist you with any of your financing questions that you may have. Feel free to contact me if you want me to walk you through any process as far as loans, job training funds, or the VA benefits that we offer. For the loans, the two lenders that we do work with are Sallie Mae and College Avenue. Both are really good lenders. I have a lot of students ask me which one is better. They're both really good. It doesn't really matter who you go with. And I can send you the links for both of them. Also, we do work with the job training funds, and that would be WIOA, which is Workforce Investment Opportunity Act, SETA, and then AmeriCorps Education Awards. And that is also, that's a scholarship that you can receive if you were part of AmeriCorps. Also, we do offer the VA benefits. If you're interested in looking into those, I can help you with that as well. If you think you might be using job training funds or the veterans education benefits, you'll want to reach out to me soon, because that process can take a little bit longer than just using a loan. Loans are pretty instant. So also, there is a new grant in California. It's the Golden State Education and Training. I'm sorry, I can't spit it out. Golden State Education and Training Grant Program. It's a long one that I know isn't on this slide, but I wanted to make you aware of it. If you were somebody that lost their job due to COVID-19, you may be eligible for that grant, and it is a $2,500 grant. So you can email me. I'll put my email on here. So you can contact me directly. If you want to find out more information about all our financing options, you'll see the link on there, and that will give you all additional information on the financing that we offer. And I think that's everything.
Thanks, Suzette. I do see one of the, and we'll be sure to cover everyone's questions here in a moment, but I do see one question here in the Q&A box. Can financial aid cover this cost if you are a current student? Is that something you can maybe answer?
Yeah, unfortunately, we do not accept, or we are not approved for, if you're thinking of FAFSA, of using the FAFSA federal aid. We don't, CPE does not take financial aid, so.
Got it. Thank you for clarifying that piece. All right. So that leads us into the Q&A portion of our presentation. We have a few questions have been coming in as we've been sharing this information. So I'll be going over there or over those questions. But if you have anything that's lingering or outstanding, please feel free to put it in the Q&A box and we will do our best to answer it. I also appreciate those of you who use the Q&A box to share a little bit about why you decided to join the session today, what makes you interested in Python. It's really great to see that some of you are experiencing a career change or a new career exploration, and that also kind of on both sides, that you're also looking to expand into Python and appreciate a structured learning environment. And I would say that's something that you can get or will definitely get with our program. Okay, so reviewing these questions that we haven't already answered. I see a question here that says, as a current UC Davis student, are there any benefits to taking this program? And I think that's a really great question, and probably one that in different contexts, everyone might be thinking, how will this program benefit me? And given that it's such a broad, open-ended question, I would maybe suggest reaching out to Miriam to schedule some time to talk about maybe what it is you're currently studying or what your career goals are. And Miriam would be happy to talk to you in more detail about how Python might best aid you in that. I also hope that we illuminated some things in this presentation today to where you can see the benefits to taking this program. Okay. We got to the question on automation. Okay, I see a question here. How close is this program to data engineering? Or can one be able to take up data engineering position after going through this program? Todd, I might toss that question to you if you had any thoughts as this person is asking specifically about data engineering.
Yeah, so this program definitely ties into data engineering. I would say it gives you more than just data engineering skill set, because data engineering morely emphasizes, data preparation, data extraction and transforming and loading, which is ETL, EL, and kind of more of modeling and distributing the data. So this course allows you to be able to model data, which is something data engineers really don't do too much of. That's more data scientists. This program also gives you an opportunity to be a data scientist, to be able to start the foundation if you want to go to machine learning and AI, that as well. It allows you to learn software development skill sets and preparation and management of deploying software, such as Python. So yeah, you'll get more than just data engineering. But yes, it will definitely prepare you to be able to compete for any data engineering job in the current market.
Great, thank you, Todd. Okay, I see another question here. What are some of the computing requirements for the program? That's a great question. And there are some, what I would say, sort of basic foundational requirements that we ask for this program. And I don't have it in front of me, otherwise I would pull it up so you could see it visually. It's definitely available on our website. And maybe, Miriam, that's something you could follow up with the student with specifically afterwards. I would say there's no, making sure that you have a computer that is up to date, has some basic software installed. Beyond that, you don't need to have any particular, or I would say sort of extra special computing requirements or computing setup. Todd, am I missing anything?
No, you wouldn't need any particular. You wouldn't be able to do it with I would just say you wouldn't be able to do it with a Chromebook. So that should allow you to understand. You would need 8 gigs of RAM mainly, but you would just need updated, or at least 8 to 16 gigs of RAM. But mainly you would have to be able to have Visual Studio installed, be able to run command terminal commands.
Yeah, and I'll just interject there and say that those are not things that you need to come prepared installed in the program. Yeah. That's part of the program, or part of the classes in the program, as well as whatever application you're going to be using for that particular class. That'll be part of the class. So there's nothing prior to starting our program that you need to make sure that you have or to download. I will say there is in some of the applications, there is a difference if you're using a PC or if you're using a Mac, and all of our instructors are knowledgeable in the differences or the nuances that navigating between those as well. So it's not a barrier.
Yeah, and I would just say that the first week is usually the first week where we go over and make sure that your computers actually are able to do the task. So we'll have a week of installing software.
Yes, exactly right. Okay. Are there prerequisites required? So not to start the program. There are no prerequisites required. You can start with introduction to Python programming, and then that will move you along with the rest of the sequence of the courses in the program. To get more specific or technical, some of the classes in the program require other classes in the program to be, or as a prerequisite. So that's why we've designed it the way that it is, so that you start with Intro to Python and progress from there. But no, you do not need there are no prerequisites prior to starting the program that are required. Okay, I see a question here that looks like it's for you, Todd. Todd mentioned AWS and Spark. Will it also involve Databricks?
So it won't really involve Databricks. It'll involve Apache Spark, which was an open source project that Databricks pretty much commercialized. So it'll still be the core of what Databricks is. So, if you still wanted, for my course, the data structures, data mining course, if you wanted to use a Databricks software or instance, you can, right? It's AWS free tier. So if you wanted to utilize it, or you wanted to use AWS or just Databricks, install it on your local machine, you can. Either way, there's support for Python and the Python SDK that we'll use. So yeah, you'll be fine. It'll be actually even better for you to use the open source project more than Databricks. Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, I'm seeing another question here. Why is nothing said about machine learning, a popular catchphrase these days? True enough, but rather modeling. Is there any concrete difference between the two, modeling and machine learning? Todd, I would love for you to elaborate on this, but I will share the fourth class in the series. So the class before Todd's class, the data modeling and the visualization class is in some ways a little bit of a slightly differently labeled class, because it does actually introduce some intro to machine learning concepts and skills. So you will be introduced to that in this program. But Todd, is there anything that you wanted to elaborate on in terms of the difference between modeling and machine learning?
Yeah, so I was just saying, just in the aspect of data science, you do data modeling to model your data to fit the data and get your insights and your inferences from your model, where machine learning is more or less doing using specific Python libraries to be able to do machine learning. So in data science, the way you model your data tends to be the first foundation to do machine learning. And that's where I would say it's like if I could show you the data modeling workflow, if you want to look up data modeling workflow, you'll see that how you go through the preparation of prepping your data model and building your insights and training your model. It's going to be almost the same, similar to machine learning, but a little bit different because you're using different Python libraries. And that's why I say that's where the difference of machine learning is. And your machine learning operations is going to be a little bit different than data science because of the size of the data that you're using. Because the sample size might be a little bit smaller in machine learning based on the use case. And then sometimes there's petabytes, zettabytes of data for machine learning, where you have to do a lot of you have to use a lot of other machine learning models. So it can get kind of tricky, a little bit of a gray zone, but other than that, it's still kind of similar. So like I said, the data, like Francis said, the data preparation course, the fourth course is going to be that foundation that you're going to need to be able to do machine learning. And then in my course, we do machine learning operations. So you'll work with like k-means algorithms. So yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Todd, for that. Okay, I'm seeing another question. What types of books do you recommend for each course? So this is another great question. And I will say that there are not any books required for any of the courses in the program. So there's not an additional cost there. All of the content that's required, all of the knowledge that you're going to need to be able to work on the assignments and make these sort of learning connections are all provided in class asynchronously. It's mostly done via lecture videos, short lecture videos, as well as some brief readings as well. And then taking those two together and applying them to the discussion questions, the assignments that you're doing, those interactions that you have with your instructor. So there are not any books required for any of the courses. I don't know to the piece on the recommendation side, Todd, from your perspective, if there's any books out there that you find helpful or to be guiding as it relates to learning Python?
Yeah, I would say anything from O'Reilly. You can check there for Python books, anything Pack Publishing. Usually do a subscription, and then you can have a list of books. But I don't have a specific book, as it always changes, right? Each year there's a new book in Python, but I would just go by the recommendation of the instructor.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I think we've gotten to all of the questions. If anything else is out there that's on your mind that you'd like to ask a question about, please feel free to reach out to either myself or to Miriam. She shared her contact details in the chat. And we'd love to be able to make sure that you get your questions answered so that you have all of the information that you need to make decisions about whether or not this program is going to be right for you in terms of learning Python. And we appreciate you all for joining today, and we wish you a great rest of your day. Bye, all.